Your Excellency and distinguished colleagues, we would like to thank the Government of Mexico for hosting this conference. We would also like to thank UNISDR. Disaster risk reduction is a priority for UNICEF, and we appreciate the efforts undertaken to implement the Sendai framework. The focus on disaster risk reduction is an important contribution to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Global experience shows that the impacts of disasters is felt most in the poorest and most disadvantaged countries and communities, and by the poorest and most disadvantaged people, particularly children within these countries. Disasters continue to impact children now and in the longer term. In 2016, an estimated 535 million children, nearly a quarter of the world's children, live in countries affected by armed conflict, violence, natural disaster, and chronic crisis. It is estimated that by 2018, half of the world's poor will live in fragile situations. Children are affected by disasters in myriad ways: death or injury, and the threat of disease caused by disrupted access to basic services such as health, nutrition, safe water, and sanitation. By missing out on education, children are robbed of the opportunity to grow and nurture their minds during critical development years. Children can further suffer from psychological trauma, face exploitation, violence, abuse, displacement, and separation from their caregivers. All of these effects have long-term consequences, not only for the children themselves, but for generations to come. There is no doubt that children are among the most vulnerable to hazards. What is less recognized is that children and youth have an important role to play in reducing the risks. Children and youth have proven capable of mapping the hazards they face, identifying those people most at risk, and advocating for change. They can play an even more significant role where they are part of national and community plans and processes. We have heard examples of this, including from Mexico, over the last few days. Since Sendai, UNICEF has worked with its government, UN, NGO partners, and including with the major group on children and youth that we'll hear next, to promote multi-hazard risk assessment based on data that is inclusive and is disaggregated by age, gender, and disability. The strengthening of primary healthcare systems through risk-informed analysis and decentralization that emphasizes community-based solutions to reduce vulnerability and increase sustainability. The strengthening of water and sanitation and hygiene services by considering the additional risks posed by climate change, while also building the capacity of communities. And the particular recognition of the special role of schools and education in reducing risk, including support to scale up structural school safety and emergency preparedness. Finally, the development of social protection and safety net measures for those most at risk to mitigate the impact of floods, droughts, and other shocks. UNICEF is committed to strengthening the resilient development of girls and boys, to strengthening the systems they require to flourish. Among other things, this requires better integration of humanitarian and development work focused on the underlying drivers of risk. UNICEF will continue to support the development of capacities for preparedness and effective response, which lie at the heart of disaster risk reduction. In supporting partners to operationalize the Sendai framework, UNICEF will promote, as appropriate, a multi-hazard approach linking measures to address disasters, climate change, conflict, and epidemics. Last but not least, as disaster risk is an intergenerational issue, UNICEF will continue to work with its partners to promote the participation and rights of all children and youth in disaster risk reduction and their vital role in strengthening resilience. Thank you very much.